Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Drum Antique Society. Tonight, I'm gonna, and for three tastings, I'm gonna do a look at Islay Cask Strength whiskies. I'm gonna break it up into three parts. Part one will be, and this evening will be Unpeated Cask Strength Islay whiskey. And then part two, we'll look at the south side of Islay and do 3 drams from there. And then for part three, we'll go to the north side when we'll look at 4 cask strength Islay whiskies. Part two and part three will be peated. So this first part is unpeated. And of course, Islay is known for its peated whiskey. But the 3 whiskies we're going to look tonight are all unpeated. The first is a Caol 12-year-old 1999 unpeated, part of Diageo special releases from 2011, bottled at 64%. And then we'll have a Cadenhead authentic collection Bruichladdich 2003 20-year-old 52.7%. Matured in a bourbon barrel. And then finally we'll look at the 2022 Bunnahabhain 12-year-old cask strength from the distillery, bottled at 56.6%. So starting off with the Caol 12-year-old 1999 unpeated special release from 2011, 64% ABV. And this was one of the showstoppers from Diageo's 1999 special releases. And you don't see an awful lot of unpeated Caol. And it was distilled in 1999 and aged in first fill ex-American oak casks. And it was a release of 6,000 bottles. So there would be no need to chill filter this. It's non-coloured, of course, for this particular expression. The bottle is quite nice. We've got a 12-year-old unpeated style. There's some tasting notes on the front. Doesn't say on the bottle non-coloured, unchill filtered, but I have researched it and I believe it is. So this is a bit of a bumper, 64%. Let's see what we've got. And it's a lovely light coloured Caol. It's got a nice tide line, nice viscous tears. And on the nose, it's like an old-fashioned tuck shop. You get sherbet, refresher sweets, and various boiled items in jars. The kind that shatter your teeth instantly. And there's also an assortment of cinema snacks, like chocolate covered raisins and toffee popcorn. And there's hints too of walnut, ginger and mace. One thing I would say, and if you think about it, a distillery that does peated whiskey and rarely ever does unpeated, I would say this is not completely void of peat. It does say in the bottle unpeated style, but it's rather the esters that dominate the whole here. And you get bubblegum, Bazooka Joe, and touches of varnish. We'll try the mouth. And it's very rich. And at 64% ABV, that means very rich. You get stem ginger, syrup, Parma violets, and a sort of lemon meringue pie, chili, and melted rum. Melted rum and raisin ice cream. It's sharp, sweet, and ultra zesty, but it is very strong. And the finish is long and sublimely sweet with exotic spices and pear juice. I'm going to add a full 2 mils to this. 2 mils of water. And you can see the symmetry here. And the Scotch mist is settling in almost immediately. You know, I love Caol in its peated form, and I've had a few of this over the last 6 months or so, and it's very pleasant. Caol, the lemons, of course, and Parma violets to a lesser extent. Parma violets more of a Beaumoirish thing. Let's see, it's settled down there now, so we'll try the nose again. And you do get that light, very light peatiness again. But it's not smoky peat, it's rather the kind of peatiness you get when you're visiting a kiln that's not working. Other than that, there's some apple juice, a little lemon, and touches of porridge. We'll try them out. And it's fresh, zesty, and it is quite peaty. There's a lot of walnut and apple skins. Then you get pear drops. And the finish is long, rather lemony, with a lingering peat and hints of sultanas. You know, it's a bit hard to understand the raison d'etre of this whisky, or back in the day what the raison d'etre of this whisky was, when you're not one of Diageo's blenders. But it's not a bad whisky at all, quite the opposite. And that recurring theme of almost soapy Parma violets seems to be popping up. It's a very unusual Caol, and it's certainly, I think, one of the best unpeated Caols I've had. So I'm going to cleanse my palate tonight with well and truly crunchy, spicy and nicey baked corn snacks. So now we're moving over the island a bit to Bruichladdich, and this is a Cadenhead authentic collection Bruichladdich, bottled in November 2024. It's distilled in 2003, a 20-year-old at 52.7%, matured in a bourbon barrel. So Bruichladdich on the shores of Loch and Dal. This one distilled in 2003, bottled in November 2024, and this is one of 114 bottles. And again, non-chill filtered, natural colour, and we have a nice tide line there, nice tears. And it's quite airy, faintly parmesan initially, and then lemon sherbet sweets and cheddar and pineapple party sticks, sawn pale wood, and a touch of salinity, coastalness. It's white chocolate, vanilla, singed plastic, and oats. And there's some light honey, apples, and like an old tin. And you get a sort of malty rye bread, white chocolate cheesecake, toasted marshmallows, and all kinds of melons. I go to Lidl's and buy fruit for my lunch on a Sunday. I always get the melon pack, which has watermelon, gala melon, the orange one, the green one, and it's like all of those. And that white chocolate again, and the sea air. Perhaps a little almond oil. And it's got a little bit of wee bit of farminess, which makes it a little more Highlandish. Let's try them out. And that's quite dirty and fainty. Reminds me a lot of Springbank actually. Dark charred wood, clay, pepperiness. And if this is unpeated, which it is, then the cask char faints are creating a very peat-like impression. And over time, the cheesiness becomes caramelized. There's a light lemon vibe is pervasive, but it's much lighter than in the aroma. And it's a damp beechwood, used tea leaves, salted caramel and toffee. And given tongue some herbal notes, including dried tarragon, chalk, peppermint and sea salt, touch of cognac, peaches and caramelized brown sugar. And it is a little smoky, briny and mineral. I've had some ex-refill Highland parts that have been a bit like this. And there's green tea, smoked fish, pepper, lemon and chalk. I'm only going to add a few drops to this. I'm going to add 5 drops because I've had quite a bit of the pour that I made. finish, mineral, flint, toffee. It's a sort of medium finish. It's elegant. It's fruity, but not too fruity. A sort of smoky, lemony, fat, oily, almost between Highland Park and Cleanleash. Let's see how this does with water. It's a little more grassy now, and there's some discreet whiffs of seaweed and bonbons, perhaps. And again, I'm getting those melons, a little honey, some guavas and papayas, and a thin layer of custard. It's very clean, very pure, very Bruichladdich. It's a pure fruity goodness without excess, and sharp, waxy lemons, oils, green pepper, some salt, and green gages. And the finish tends towards menthol. I think this Bruichladdich is quite good, but it's missing the X factor that would transform it into a memorable pour. It beautifully reflects the subtle coastal traits of Islay and a softer side of the island, though. I'll cleanse my palate again. So, last up in this trio of unpeated Islay cask strength whiskies is the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old cask strength from 2022 at 56.6%. And it immediately looks much darker in the glass. So this was an annual release. I don't think they did one in 2024. They did 2025, 2023, 2022, and I think 2021. This one takes its inspiration from the tasting experience offered to visitors at the distillery's Warehouse 9, where they're able to taste whiskies drawn straight from the cask. This is unpeated and well sherried. Most of the whiskies matured in Oloroso casks, with the balance brought up by a selection of Bourbon cask matured spirit. Its natural colour and without chill filtration. And it lets you taste the single malt in the rawer form. And I remember trying Bunnahabhain for the first time with its standard core lineup 12, and I particularly liked the 18, and I was hooked at that point. Being an unpeated Islay whiskey, along with that unique coastal salinity and sherry cask influence, helped it to stand out, and it hit all the right notes for me. And I'm really looking forward to trying this one. So you can see immediately that it's got that sherry cask influence. And it's got nice tears, nice tide line. And yeah, it's definitely Bunna. Chocolate buttons, cranberries and cherries, with dates and sultanas joining in, all bolstered by a woody spice. Rich stewed plums, stewed figs, vanilla creme patisserie, and plum jam. There's a touch of ABV burn on the nose, but not too much. And it's dramatically more rich and powerful compared to the standard core Bunnahabhain 12-year-old. Luscious sweet figs and dark plums. But you still get that pleasing sweet vanilla pastry filling of some sort. Touch of Christmas cookies. And wonderfully sherry dried fruits. Chocolate boozy raisins. Cinnamon and a waft of coastal quality. Dark berries and the sweetness of glucose. And then you get the spicy notes of cinnamon and nutmeg. The cranberry notes. And it's not nosing like most modern sherried whiskies. It's not overly sweet and it carries some darkness to it. And there's some meat and gravy, steak and ale pie, and some soy sauce. We'll try them out. It's hazelnuts drizzled with milk chocolate. And that touch of salinity characterized by Bunnahabhain. And it's balanced by crisp green apple, poached pear and clove. And you do get quite a big ginger chili spice, oak bitterness, white plums, more ginger. And it's a lovely sweet spicy sherry which continues on from the nose along with the chocolate raisins, caramel toffee, saltiness, coastal pebbles, and a slight bitter orange peel and dried nuts. It's slightly perfumed and floral, but rich and wonderfully oily. Sweet and fruity, and then the spice takes over. That slight pepperiness comes through. It's big and fatty, bits of spice, and then you get the red berry flavours, caramel and syrup, and that peppery kick, and soy sauce flavours. And it's sort of the fatty texture brings images of fudge. And you get the finish, salted almonds, steeped berries and cakey spice. It's a long and a sticky sweet finish. And that tingly spice of oak. And that spice carries long after the dram is gone. I'm going to try 2 mils of water in this. And again, it's lovely with symmetry. And again, that Scotch mist. Oh wow, that Scotch mist comes in very quickly. And the fruit notes, cherry and light grapes emerge, and the fine herbs remain. Getting a bit closer to the standard, I just can't believe the Scotch mist in this. Get closer to standard 12. It's creamier with more milk chocolate, red berries, sweet red currants. And it's a very pleasant nose. Cherry, wood, malt, all at once. And it's packed with power and energy without being boisterous, and it's quite vinous. Try the mouth. More fruit, sweetness, and it becomes rounder with water. It's not quite as hearty, the alcohol on the tongue, but it dries faster and immediately coats the tongue. The harsher tones come to light more quickly, but it's full and sparkling red fruits and a sort of very herbal honey. And the finish is medium to long, fruity and spicy. This is a nice Bunna, very soft and creamy texture, and the alcohol is well integrated, and the sherry is well balanced. It was how you would imagine a great batch of the normal 12-year-old Bunna, with a bit more rump and hump. The furry finish gets better with water, but the taste suffers a bit with water. And it makes the whisky very cloudy, but very exciting as well. I think this is a great sherried island malt in cask strength form. And it's everything from the 12 turned up to 11 in a more complex integrated form. A fantastic whisky. And, you know, the Caol is a blast from the past that makes me yearn for some more unpeated Caol. It highlights just how good the distillate is. And Bruichladdich is okay. It's nice to see a cask strength unpeated indie release with a good age statement. The Bunna 12-year-old cask strength is wonderful, and I hope to do a parallel tasting comparing its 4 versions soon. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with parts 2 and then part 3 soon. Thank you for listening.